Chapter 11 Death Wish Living Fast and Hard. I lost $35,000 in less than a week at the Mirage in Las Vegas during August of 1993. I stood in that casino and let them have my money. The more, the better. It seemed everyone in Detroit was looking for me. They were joking about putting my face on a milk carton. Training camp was coming up, my last training camp as a Piston, and the team had no idea where I was. I didn't want them to know either. That was why they didn't know. Part of the Rodman legend is that I set out to lose that money, that I walked into the casino with $35,000 in my pocket and decided to see how fast I could turn it over to the house. That might make for a better story, but it isn't all the way true. I started out wanting to win. I always gambled to win. But when I started losing, I had a thought. Lose it all. Just put it on the table and lose it. Give it to somebody else and let them deal with the problems that come with it. At the time, that's all money meant to me. Problems. As I stood in that casino watching my money being swept off the tables, I didn't care if I ever had a buck to my name again. At the roulette wheel, I put my money on red and rooted for black. At the craps tables, I chose numbers and hoped I was wrong. Just like so many other times in my life, I wanted to go back where I was before I had all this. I wanted to go back to a time when I didn't have $35 to lose, much less $35,000. I wanted that feeling again, that feeling of hunger and survival. I wanted all that to kick in, and the only way I knew to do it was to throw all that fucking money on the table and lose it all. I needed to be desperate. Money complicates things, so the obvious cure was to lose the money. I think I need life to be hard. I sit in front of my locker before games listening to Pearl Jam, and I put my mind in the worst possible places. I put myself in a hospital with dying children, and from my locker I can feel all the pain and suffering that they feel. The music goes through me and puts me there. The music is about pain and suffering, and how you can't run away from it. I need that to break loose and remind myself that it wasn't always so easy. I put my mind on the streets with people who are homeless and hungry, and I tell myself I'm out there playing for them. I have to think of the worst to make sure I don't get lazy or start taking things for granted. That's what I was going through at the casino. I wanted to feel that pain of having nothing. I wanted to be that rookie again. The guy who hyperventilated while signing a contract and ran around in practice like his shorts were on fire. That was the guy people loved. That was the guy I loved. I wanted to be normal again. Free of all the shit that comes with people knowing who you are. Las Vegas is the place I go to feel normal, to be among people. What better place than Vegas? You stand there with everybody else, putting your money next to theirs, hoping for the same thing. This was a bad time for me. My marriage to Annie had broken up. Chuck Daly was gone. The team was going to hell, and I was confused. I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew I didn't want what I had. I needed to get back to the times when nobody knew who I was, and when people would slow down in their cars to yell at me and call me names. I was real popular in Detroit, but when it came time to talk contract, I was at the bottom of the list. This is when I realized there was no commitment, no loyalty, no nothing. This is when I started to lose some of the thrill the game provided, because I was realizing the business side of it sucked. My short-term answer was to lose the money and try to trick my mind into believing I had to fight and claw again to make it back. I wanted the pain. The preseason before my last year with the Pistons was one of my lowest points. I felt betrayed by the Pistons, and I wasn't able to see my daughter. I didn't hide how I felt either. I sat in my house in Bloomingfield Hills and didn't come out. I used to lock myself in my house and not answer the door. I didn't want people to know where I was. I would go out after midnight to work out at Gold's Gym or buy some food. I've done that since I've been in Chicago too. I go out and work at midnight or 1 a.m. I like having the place to myself, and I like the feeling of doing something like that while everybody else is lying in bed. When I was going through all that crap in Detroit, I changed my phone number a bunch of times. Each time I did it, I told the phone company not to give the number. I figured if I didn't know it, not to give me the number. I figured if I didn't know it, nobody could call me and bother me. I get depressed when I'm frustrated, caged in. But the more I train my mind to feel that depression, the stronger it makes me. Instead of avoiding it and trying to feel better, I give into it and let my body feel it. When I do that, it takes me back and gets my mind right. When I hit bottom, I can attack the problem and get to where I want to be. It's no accident that I had a great season my last year in Detroit. With the team falling apart and my life all messed up, I still led the league in rebounding with an average of 18.2 points a game. I don't trust what this life has given me. I don't trust the money or the attention or the people telling me they love me. I don't trust it because I know it's going to be gone. It's temporary, and once your career is over, everybody forgets. There's somebody else out there for them to idolize, and if you're standing there old and washed up, asking these people, hey, what about me? Then you're sad and pathetic. I see former players coming back all the time, and they're searching for what they used to have. I'll never be like that. Once I'm out of the NBA, they'll never see me again. Bullshit. I'll move on and make something else of my life. I know this attention isn't always going to be there. I know it's only there for a short time, and the people who give me the attention aren't in it for me. They're in it for themselves. It's all about what they can get out of me. You're crazy if you buy into it. If you don't know why it's there in the first place, you won't understand when it's gone. If I die young, everybody's going to say they saw it coming. They're going to say I had a death wish, that I was crying out for help and nobody heard me. Or more likely, they're going to say I was on drugs. I know what the average guy in Minnesota or Utah thinks of me. I know he sits down in front of the television with his beer and says, that guy with the green hair is either crazy or on drugs. I know that's what people think, and I let them. I can't change anybody's mind, so they think what they want to think. The truth is, I've never even smoked a joint. I've never tried cocaine or acid or any other drug. I don't need drugs to keep myself going. I don't need drugs for energy or fun to escape whatever's going through my mind. Drugs are in sports, but not as much as they used to be. They used to be more in the open, but now they're behind the curtain. Whenever there's money, there's drugs. So to say drugs don't exist in the NBA would be stupid. But guys know the score now. They know they can throw their whole career away if they want to hand it over to drugs. Most guys now are educated enough to stay away from it. When I first got into the league, Rick Mahorn called me aside and said, come with me and hang with me. I'm going to show you the ropes. That whole unit was pretty much like that. John Sally and I were rookies at the same time, and the older guys told us about life on the court and off. They told us what we could accomplish if we kept our minds straight and removed the distractions from our lives. The year I was drafted by the Pistons, the team's top draft pick was William Bedford, a 7-foot center out of Memphis State. He could have been a great player. He had an incredible amount of talent and a great body for the game. When William showed up, it turned out to be my turn to try and help somebody. I wish it would have been better results. I think we all saw right away that Bedford didn't want it as much as he should have, but we didn't realize how big his problems were. I can remember walking into his room on the road and knowing right away there was something wrong. It was dark and cold. The air conditioner would be blowing in the middle of winter. William would be sitting there just staring. Before long, we all realized this guy, a guy with all this talent, was putting all his money up his damn nose. I used to try and make sure he was on time for the bus on the road or practice at home, but he didn't seem to care. We all thought we can get him straightened out, but he was in too deep. He failed a few drug tests and eventually got flushed out of the league. If I ever needed any more motivation to keep away from drugs, William Bedford gave it to me. He kissed all of his talent away. In 4 years with the Pistons, he averaged 3.5 points per game. When I think of how good he could have been and how much better our team could have been if he hadn't been taken down by drugs, it almost makes me want to cry. That guy had everything and ended up with nothing. Whenever people think I'm on drugs, I have one answer. 10 years in the league. That should be all I need to say, because the guys with the drug problems don't last. William Bedford didn't last. Chris Washburn was another one. He was a top pick of the Golden State Warriors the same year I came out in 1986. He left North Carolina State after his sophomore year and never amounted to anything in the NBA. He failed drug tests and ended up throwing away all his talent too. Look at Roy Tarpley. He lasted longer than most because he got so many chances, but he had a $23 million contract and he kissed it off. He failed test after test, and finally he failed one too many, and the league policy called for him to be finished forever. When I first came into the league, I could have gone towards drugs. Anyone who plays has the opportunity. I still do. I'll go into a club somewhere and someone will shake my hand and try and pass on a blotter of acid. The first time it happened, I was looking at this little piece of paper not knowing what it was. Then somebody told me it was acid. These people never, an NBA player, just want to be able to say they dropped acid with Dennis Rodman, or they smoked marijuana, or did cocaine with me. They say it anyway, even though they haven't, so I guess I can't win. I don't need drugs, though. I get enough of a rush from going out there and playing basketball. I'll go on national television right now and take a drug test. I'll take one every day for the next month. In sports, drugs have gone behind the curtain more than they were before. Everyone is aware of what can happen if you get caught. You lose your whole career. With everything available to an athlete, he has to sit down and ask himself the question, what's going to keep me going over for the long haul, drugs or the game? What's going to give me the security and money to last me my whole life? It's not just athletes who have to ask themselves these questions. It's everybody. You have to ask yourself if you're going to rely on your own gifts to take you where you want to go, or are you going to take a chance on living through this lie? Sure, drugs can put you over the top, all right. Over the top so far you'll fall back down and land in a 6-foot hole. I think about death a lot. I'm not afraid to die. I'm going to keep living the way I do, hard, fast, and I don't really care if anybody out there thinks I have a death wish. That's what I hear a lot. Dennis Rodman has a death wish. I do have a death wish. It's there. That doesn't mean I'm living with an eye on death. It doesn't mean I'm secretly crying out for somebody to stop me before I kill myself. My death wish is there because I'm not afraid of death. If I crash my Ferrari and die, it was just meant to be. If I die on my motorcycle, it was meant to be. I just don't want people feeling sorry for me, saying they should have stopped me before I went too far. No. When I die, I die. The only part of death that scares me is the pain. Why die with pain? I don't want that kind of pain. I'd rather just leave this world before the pain hits. I probably won't live to be an old man. I'm already old for where I came from. From the projects, I'm already old. After the police found me in the Palace parking lot, the Pistons made me see a psychiatrist. The guy told me there was nothing wrong with me. You're not crazy, he said. You're not crazy at all. Before the 1994-95 season, the Spurs put me on paid leave when I was holding out because they went back on their promise to give me a new contract. They made me see a psychiatrist, and that guy said the same thing as the first guy. You're not crazy, he said. They're just not used to dealing with somebody like you, and they don't know how to handle it. I think people throw out the idea I'm crazy or on drugs just because they're trying to find an easy way to explain the way I am, instead of trying to deal with it. They just try and put me in a box that says crazy or drugs, and they have an answer for everything. They can say I take off my shoes on the sideline because I'm crazy, and not because of the problems I have with my feet. They can say I drive my Ferrari fast, or gamble, or ride my speedboat because I have a secret wish to die. Some of the stories about me are so far gone, it's not even funny. People think I'm capable of anything, so they'll believe whatever somebody says about me. I've had people tell me they read where I take my uniform off at halftime games and put my street clothes on. Then somehow I change back into my uniform in time to warm up for the third quarter. I don't know where that started, but people take it as truth because they're willing to believe anything about me. The truth is, I take off my shoes at halftime, and sometimes I'll take off my uniform top and throw on a t-shirt. It's all my way of feeling comfortable, letting my body breathe and feel free. But if people want to think I'm in there putting on my pants and lacing up my boots during halftime, I guess there's nothing I can do to stop them. I'm more interested in taking my clothes off than putting more on. Another reason people think I'm crazy is that I want to play my last game in the NBA in the nude. I said that to a reporter and it became this huge thing. I know I won't be able to play the whole game naked, but I might be able to work something out. After my last game, here's what I plan to do. I'll walk off the court and take off one piece of clothing with every step. First it'll be my shirt, which I'll autograph and hand to some kid in the stands. Then I'll toss my shoes into the stands, then my socks, then my shorts, then my jockstrap. Then I'll be all at about mid-court and I'll walk the rest of the way in the locker room nude. Nobody's ever done that before, and it could be my parting shot to the NBA. If I die young, everybody will say it was drugs. It's got to be drugs. That will be the first thing out of everyone's mouth. Then they'll say he was suicidal. He was suicidal from the beginning. Just look at the way he played and what he did off the court. After my rookie year, I went back to Dallas to see some friends from the neighborhood. One guy is a big-time drug dealer, and he wanted to take me out to this club where a lot of dealers and drug people hang out. We walked into this place and we weren't 2 steps inside the front door when somebody at the bar pulled out a gun and took a shot at us. My friend was out of there in a flash, and I followed after I realized what the hell was going on. We raced to the car and got away before they could chase us. I was sitting in that car with my head down thinking, I'm an NBA player. What the fuck am I doing here? That story never made it into the newspapers, probably because it was before anybody knew who the hell I was. But can you imagine the headlines if that happened now? Dennis Rodman shot at while leaving bar with drug dealer? That would be all over the place, and everybody would say the same thing. They knew it all along. Everything's based on image, no matter what the real story is. And I found out that corporate America can be scared away when it comes to somebody who's a little different. I was all set to sign a big endorsement contract with Robitussin during my last year with the Spurs, but they backed away when they read Mike Silver's story in Sports Illustrated in May of 1995. In the article, I talked about being with another man and about my thoughts on killing myself, and I think that scared Robitussin off. They said the image in that article didn't fit the image they had in mind for their company. I said fine, that means your company's image doesn't fit my image either. I see they ended up with Shaquille O'Neal's mom. I guess that's more in line with their image. When I was sitting in the parking lot of the Palace that April night in 1993 with the gun beside me, I had to ask myself whether I really could go ahead and kill myself that easily. Once I knew I could do it, I tried to come up with another way of dealing with my problems. It was like I hit bottom, and then I started to climb out. One thing I was fighting was whether I should pull the trigger and have a quick death or go on the way I was and make it a slow death. The way I was living back then, I was on the road to a slow death. Now I'm happy with who I am and the life I'm living. I won't live the life other people want to see me live. I know what people think and what people say, but it passes right through me. I survived through so much shit that I don't think there's anyone who could tell me how I should live. I've been given a lot of second chances during this wild life, and this time I'm getting to live on my own terms. I'll know when my life is complete, when there's nothing left for me to accomplish, when there are no goals or dreams. When I get older and that happens, I'll probably go somewhere out of the way, the woods or the mountains, and spend some quality private time with myself. I'll go over everything I've done in my life and spend some time thinking about it. Then I'll take out a gun and shoot myself in the head. That's how it will end. Right there.